She called me a worthless old man in front of the entire neighborhood. My name is William Davis, but everyone calls me Bill. I'm 67, been a widower for 3 years now. My daughter-in-law Ashley kicked me out of my own house to move her unemployed parents in. She told people I was broke, confused, maybe even losing my mind. She had me packing for a nursing home while she planned a housewarming party. What she didn't know, I own a $350 million real estate empire. I didn't argue when she handed me those papers. I didn't fight when she called me a failure. I just smiled, packed one bag, and made 3 phone calls. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. 30 days later, I walked back into that party with my property manager and a briefcase full of surprises. This is what happens when you mistake quiet for weak. Let me back up and explain how I got here. My son Michael married Ashley Johnson 3 years ago, right after my wife Helen passed. They moved into my house in Scottsdale, a 2,400 square foot place I built back in 1998. Ashley seemed nice enough at first, but things changed fast. See, Ashley came from money. Her father Gary used to manage a car dealership in Michigan. Her mother Janet worked in real estate. They had a big house, fancy cars, the whole package. When Ashley looked at me, she saw everything her family wasn't anymore. Because here's what Ashley didn't know. I sold my construction company for $45 million in 2009, but I kept that quiet. Real quiet. After Helen died, I just wanted simple. I wore the same Carhartt jackets I'd worn for 20 years, drove my old Ford pickup, kept my tools in the garage. To Ashley, I looked like exactly what she thought I was, a failed contractor living off her generosity. "Bill, we need to talk about your situation," she told me one morning in September. Michael was at work. She was drinking coffee from a mug that cost more than my jacket. What situation? "This house. Michael and I are building a life here. You're—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "You're not contributing. Not contributing." That stung. "I pay the utilities," I said. $87 a month for electricity doesn't count as rent, Bill. Here's what Ashley didn't see. The house was mine. Completely. No mortgage. I'd owned it outright since the day I poured the foundation. But the deed was filed under BD Holdings, LLC, a company I'd set up for tax purposes 15 years ago. Ashley saw an old man with dirty fingernails and assumed I was broke. "My parents are going through a rough patch," she continued. "They lost their house. They need somewhere to stay while they get back on their feet. How long? However long it takes." I looked around the kitchen I'd built with my own hands, every cabinet, every tile, every electrical outlet. But I said nothing. "The thing is, Bill, we can't have 4 adults in a 3-bedroom house. It's not practical." "I see. I found you a nice senior living community, Desert Springs. It's only $800 a month and they have activities. $800 a month for me to pay rent somewhere else so her parents could live in my house for free. What does Michael think about this?" Ashley's smile tightened. "Michael agrees it's time for you to have your own space." That was the first lie. Michael hadn't agreed to anything. Michael didn't know about any of this. But Ashley had made her calculation. "Old man, no money, no options, easy to remove." "I need to think about it," I said. "Of course, take your time. But my parents will be here by the 15th, 2 weeks' notice, to leave my own house." After she left for her yoga class, I sat in that kitchen for a long time. Through the window I could see the framing of a house going up 3 lots down, probably one of mine. I'd built 80% of the houses in this neighborhood between 1995 and 2005. Ashley thought she was dealing with a powerless old man. She was about to learn how wrong that assumption was. But first, I needed to see just how far she'd take this, how completely she'd reveal who she really was. So I decided to play along. 3 days later, Ashley made her announcement public. I was checking my mailbox when my neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, walked over. She looked uncomfortable. "Bill, I heard you're moving to assisted living?" Ashley had been talking. Of course she had. "News travels fast around here." She made it sound like— Mrs. Peterson struggled with the words. "Like you needed help with memory things." Memory things. Ashley was telling people I had dementia. "My memory's fine, Clara." "I know it is. That's why I'm confused. You built half these houses. You're sharper than most people half your age." That afternoon, I drove to Desert Springs Senior Living to see what Ashley had arranged for me. The place smelled like industrial disinfectant and sadness. The unit she'd picked was 320 square feet, one window, no garage for my tools. Mrs. Johnson already put down a deposit, the administrator told me, first month and security. She seemed very concerned about your living situation. Ashley had paid a deposit, with money from her joint account with Michael. Money my son earned at his IT job because he couldn't get a better position. His credit was damaged from student loans and bad financial decisions in his 20s. Meanwhile, Ashley drove a leased BMW X5, $89,000 car. The lease payment alone was more than what she wanted me to pay for that closet at Desert Springs. When I got home, Ashley was in the living room with two women I didn't recognize. Coffee and pastries spread across my dining table. "Oh, Bill, perfect timing." Ashley's voice was honey-sweet. "I was just telling Jennifer and Rebecca about the transition. Transition. Like I was a business being restructured. Jennifer works in elder care. She has some wonderful suggestions for making your move easier." Jennifer smiled sympathetically. "It's always hard when families have to make these difficult decisions, but you'll love Desert Springs. They have bingo on Tuesdays." Bingo. I'd gone from building million-dollar custom homes to bingo on Tuesdays. "What about his things?" Rebecca asked. "I imagine you've accumulated a lot over the years." "Oh, we'll help him sort through everything," Ashley said. "Keep what's important, donate the rest. There's not much room for clutter in senior living." Clutter. My tools, my Helen's china, the photo albums from 43 years of marriage. All clutter. "The important thing is family," Jennifer added. "And Bill will still be family. He'll just have his own space." His own space. In a building where they locked the doors at 9 p.m. and served dinner at 4:30. That night, Michael came home late. I waited up. "We need to talk, son." He looked tired. Guilty. "Dad, I know this is hard." "Do you?" "Because I'm not sure you know what's happening here." Ashley explained everything. "The house is getting crowded. Her parents need help. This way everyone has space. And you're okay with me paying rent somewhere else while her unemployed parents live here for free?" Michael's jaw tightened. "That's not how she explained it." "How did she explain it?" Silence. "Michael, how long have your in-laws been unemployed?" 8 months. 8 months. And in that time, how many job applications have they filled out?" "I don't know, Dad. That's not really my business." "It's your business when they're living in your house." "It's not just my house." Wrong answer. It wasn't his house at all, but I wasn't ready to play that card yet. "Son, I built this house. Every board, every nail. I raised you in this house. Your mother died in this house. And now I'm supposed to leave so Ashley's parents can have their own space? It's temporary." "How temporary?" Michael couldn't answer that, because Ashley hadn't given him a timeline. She'd just told him it was the right thing to do, and he'd believed her. "Dad, I know this isn't ideal, but Ashley's family is going through a hard time." "And what about your family? What about me?" "You're still family. This doesn't change that. But it did change things. Everything. Because that conversation told me what I needed to know. Ashley had successfully positioned this as a kindness. A necessary kindness for people in need. She'd made Michael feel guilty for even questioning it. And she'd made me the obstacle to doing the right thing. The next morning I called my property manager. "Rebecca, it's Bill. I need you to pull some files for me." "Which property?" "All of them. October 2nd. That's when Ashley dropped the hammer. I was in the garage organizing my tools when she appeared in the doorway. No coffee mug this time. Business mode. "Bill, we need to discuss timeline." "What timeline?" "My parents arrive tomorrow. You leave tomorrow." "That's not what we agreed." "We didn't agree to anything. I told you they were coming by the 15th. I moved up the schedule. Just like that. 12 days early." "Why the rush?" Ashley's mask slipped for just a second. "Because this is my house now, and I'm tired of pretending it isn't." There it was. The truth. "Actually, Ashley, this is my house." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Your house. Bill, you don't have a mortgage. You don't pay property taxes. You don't even have a lease. You're what my real estate friends call a squatter. Is that right?" "My name is on the utility bills. My name is on the insurance. As far as anyone official is concerned, you're just an elderly relative who's overstayed his welcome." Wrong on all counts. but I let her keep talking. I've been patient because Michael asked me to be patient. But patience has limits. And what happens if I refuse to leave? Then I call Adult Protective Services. Tell them you're confused about your living situation, memory issues. They'll sort it out. She'd really thought this through. Create a narrative where I'm incompetent, she's the responsible caregiver, and removing me is an act of compassion. You'd do that? Bill, I'd do whatever it takes to protect my family. Her family. Not our family. Her family. Where's Michael in all this? Michael supports me. He always supports me. That afternoon, Michael came home to find me packing. His face went white. Dad, what's happening? Ask your wife. Ashley emerged from the kitchen. I told your father my parents need the space immediately. There was a change in their situation. What kind of change? Ashley hesitated. They lost their temporary housing. It's an emergency. Why didn't you tell me? I'm telling you now. I watched my son process this. Emergency housing for his in-laws. His father displaced on 12 hours' notice. The math didn't add up, but he was trying to make it work. Dad, is there somewhere you can stay tonight, just until we figure this out? Just until we figure this out. Like this was a temporary glitch instead of his wife systematically removing me from my own home. I'll manage. Where will you go? Good question. I own 1,700 properties across Phoenix. I could sleep in a different house every night for 5 years, but Michael didn't know that. I'll find something. Ashley jumped in. Desert Springs has a waiting list, but I explained the situation. They'll make an exception. She'd already called, already arranged for me to be warehoused. That's generous of you, Ashley. I try to take care of family. Family. Right. Michael looked miserable. Dad, I'm sorry this is happening so fast. Don't apologize, son. This is educational. Educational? I'm learning a lot about family dynamics, about respect, about assumptions. Ashley's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? It means you assume you know everything about everyone, but assumptions can be dangerous. I know enough. Do you? I know you're a retired construction worker with no income and no assets. I know you've been living here out of charity. I know you have no legal standing and no options. 3 assumptions, all wrong. Interesting theory. It's not a theory, Bill, it's reality. I finished packing my bag. 1 change of clothes, toiletries, my wallet with exactly $43 in cash, the picture of Helen from my nightstand. I'll be out of your way in 5 minutes. Michael stepped forward. Dad, you don't have to... Yes, he does. Ashley cut him off. This is what's best for everyone. I carried my bag to the front door. Michael followed. Dad, I feel terrible about this. Don't feel terrible, son. Feel curious. About what? About why your wife is so confident about things she doesn't understand. I could see Ashley listening from the kitchen doorway. In a few weeks, ask her to show you the property deed for this house. Ask her to explain how property taxes get paid when the owner supposedly has no income. Ask her how a man with no assets maintains insurance on a $2.8 million property. Michael's face changed. Dad, what are you saying? I'm saying your wife has made some assumptions. And in about 30 days, those assumptions are going to cost her everything she thinks she's gained. Ashley stepped into the hallway. What's that supposed to mean? It means you should have done more research, Ashley. Much more research. I opened the front door. Bill. Ashley's voice had lost its confident edge. What research? The kind that tells you who really owns what, who really has power, who really gets to decide who stays and who goes. You're bluffing. Am I? I walked to my truck. Behind me, I heard Ashley say, He's just trying to scare us. But her voice was shaking. 30 days. That's how long it would take for the paperwork to go through. 30 days for Ashley to enjoy living in a house that was about to disappear from under her feet. I spent that first night at the Hampton Inn on Scottsdale Road. $96 for a room that was bigger than what Ashley had picked out for me at Desert Springs. But I wasn't hiding. I was planning. At 7 a.m., my phone rang. Mr. Davis, this is Rebecca Martinez from Pinnacle Property Management. Rebecca had been managing my rental portfolio for 15 years. She didn't know about my family situation, just that I owned properties. Lots of properties. Rebecca, good morning. Sir, We have a situation with the Chandler duplex. Tenants behind 3 months. Legal wants to know if you want to proceed with eviction. How far behind? 4,800. They're asking for a payment plan. 3 months behind. Same as Ashley's parents had been unemployed before they lost their house in Michigan. No payment plan. File the papers. Understood. Also, the Phoenix City Council is fast-tracking that zoning change on the East Valley properties. If it passes, the land value jumps 30%. 30% of $16 million was almost $5 million. But Ashley thought I was broke. Keep me posted on the vote. Will do. Oh, and Mr. Davis? Your insurance agent called about the Scottsdale property? Something about updating the primary residence designation? My insurance agent, Alan Murphy. We'd done business for 22 years. What kind of update? He didn't say. Just asked if you were still living at the Scottsdale address or if there'd been a change in occupancy. Someone had called Alan. Someone asking questions about my living situation. Tell Alan I'll call him directly. After I hung up, I sat in that hotel room thinking. Ashley was checking up on me, trying to verify her assumptions about my financial situation. She was about to get more information than she bargained for. I drove to my bank, Desert Financial Credit Union. I'd been a member since 1978. Mr. Davis! The branch manager, Carol Wilson, smiled as I approached her desk. What brings you in today? I need account statements. All accounts. Last 6 months. Personal and business? Everything. Carol pulled up my files. Her eyebrows went up slightly as the numbers populated her screen. Would you like these printed or emailed? Both. And Carol, I might need verification letters for some real estate transactions. Can you prepare those? Of course. How many properties are we talking about? BD Holdings currently owns 1,247 rental units across the Phoenix metro area. Carol's fingers stopped moving across the keyboard. 1,247? Plus the commercial properties and the land holdings. Mr. Davis, I had no idea your portfolio was that extensive. Most people didn't. That was the point. Next stop, my attorney's office. James Wilson specialized in real estate law. We'd worked together on hundreds of transactions. Bill, what's the emergency? I need to understand my options regarding the Scottsdale property. Which Scottsdale property? The one where I live, 1417 East Desert Cove. James pulled the file. BD Holdings property. You're listed as sole owner through the LLC. What's the issue? Someone's living there who thinks they have authority over the property. I need to know my legal standing for requesting they vacate. Are they paying rent? No. Do they have a lease? No. Any legal claim to residency? None. James leaned back in his chair. Bill, you can evict them tomorrow. They're essentially squatters with your permission. When you withdraw permission, they have no legal right to remain. How long does the process take? 30 days if you follow proper notification procedures. 30 days. Perfect. That afternoon, I stopped by one of my job sites, new construction in North Scottsdale. The crew was just finishing the foundation. Mr. Davis! Tommy Rodriguez, my lead foreman for 12 years, jogged over. Didn't expect to see you today. Just checking progress. How's the timeline? 2 weeks ahead of schedule. This crew knows your standards. Good. Tommy, I might need some help with a personal project soon. What kind of project? Moving project. Some people need to relocate quickly. Tommy grinned. Boss, you know we're always available for whatever you need. That evening, I had dinner at Ricardo's, a restaurant I'd been going to for 15 years. The owner, Maria Santos, brought my usual table without being asked. Bill, you look troubled tonight. Family issues, Maria. Ah, the hardest kind. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Bill, this is Ashley. Michael gave me your number. We need to talk about your belongings. Some items need to be removed from the garage before my parents arrive. My tools. She wanted my tools gone. I texted back. Which items? All construction equipment. It's taking up space. 40 years of tools. Professional-grade equipment worth more than her car. Where should I store them? Not my problem. Not her problem. Tools that had built half the neighborhood weren't her problem. I finished dinner and drove back to the hotel. Tomorrow, the paperwork would begin. Ashley thought she'd won. She thought she'd successfully removed an obstacle and claimed territory. She had no idea she'd just declared war on someone who owned the battlefield. October 5th, the day Ashley decided to make her victory public. I was having coffee at Corner Bakery when my phone rang. Unknown number. Bill? This is Janet Johnson, Ashley's mother, the woman who was sleeping in my house. Hello, Janet. I wanted to thank you personally for accommodating us. Ashley told me about your situation, and I think it's wonderful that you're transitioning to a community setting. My situation. Transitioning. Ashley had coached her well. What situation is that? Oh, you know. When we reach a certain age, independence becomes challenging. Challenging. I was challenging. I'm 67, Janet, not 97. Of course, but Ashley explained about the confusion with finances and property ownership. It happens to the best of us. Confusion. Ashley had told her parents I was mentally incompetent. Ashley said that. She's just looking out for your best interests. It must be hard to accept help, especially from someone younger. Very hard. That afternoon, Ashley threw what she called a family gathering in my backyard. 15 neighbors, Ashley's new friends from her yoga class, her parents holding court like they owned the place. I watched from my hotel room window as people arrived, cars parking on my lawn, Ashley directing traffic like a hostess. At 4 o'clock, I decided to crash the party. I parked across the street and walked over. The back gate was open. Ashley had strung lights between trees I'd planted 20 years ago. Bill! Mrs. Peterson spotted me first. What a nice surprise. Conversation stopped. Ashley's face went white. Bill, I wasn't expecting you. I wanted to meet your parents. Of course, Mom, Dad, this is Michael's father, Bill. Janet Johnson extended her hand. So nice to finally meet you. Ashley's told us so much about you. Has she? We're grateful for the temporary arrangement. This house is perfect for recovery. Recovery. Like they were convalescing instead of unemployed. What kind of recovery? Gary Johnson stepped forward. Firm handshake. Too firm. Overcompensating. Financial recovery? The economy hit our sector hard. What sector? Automotive? I managed dealerships for 30 years. Which dealerships? Gary's smile faltered. Several different brands. Market consolidation, you know. I didn't know, but I was curious. Must have been profitable work. 30 years in management. Very profitable, until the downturn. When was that downturn? 2008. That's 16 years ago, Gary. Ashley jumped in. Dad's been consulting since then. What kind of consulting? Strategic consulting for automotive groups. Name one. Silence. I'm sorry. Name one automotive group you've consulted for in the last 5 years. Gary looked at his wife. Janet looked at Ashley. Ashley looked furious. Bill, she said quietly, can we talk privately? We're all family here, right? That's what you told Jennifer last week. All family. Who's Jennifer? Janet asked. The elder care specialist Ashley brought over to discuss my transition to assisted living. Gary's face changed. Assisted living? You didn't know? Ashley thinks I need help with daily activities, memory issues. Bill, Ashley hissed. Stop. Stop what? Stop telling your parents why I'm not living here anymore? Stop explaining why you needed my bedroom for them. The neighbors were listening now. This wasn't the polite family discussion they'd expected. You chose to leave, Ashley said. Did I? Because I remember you giving me 12 hours notice to vacate. I remember you calling Adult Protective Services to report my mental incompetence. That's not what happened. Then explain what happened, to everyone here. Ashley looked around the crowd. Neighbors who'd known me for 25 years. People who'd watched me build houses, raise a son, care for a dying wife. Bill is confused about the living arrangements. Am I? Tom Peterson, how long have you lived next door? Tom Peterson, Clara's husband, stepped forward. 22 years, Bill. In those 22 years, who did you think owned this house? You did. You built it. Ashley thinks otherwise. Ashley, tell Tom who owns this house. The ownership structure is complicated. Uncomplicated. Ashley was trapped. She couldn't admit she'd lied without destroying her credibility, but she couldn't support the lie without looking stupid. Michael and I are the primary residents. That's not what I asked. I asked who owns this house. Ownership and residency are different things. They are indeed. So who owns this house, Ashley? I don't have to explain our private family matters to the neighborhood. You already did, last week, when you told Jennifer I was squatting. When you told Janet I was confused about property ownership. When you told Tom and Clara I had memory problems. I never said, Tom, what did Ashley tell you about my mental state? Tom looked uncomfortable. She said you were having trouble with financial reality. Financial reality. Interesting phrase. I pulled out my phone, speed dialed a number. Rebecca, it's Bill. I'm at the Scottsdale property. Can you bring the ownership documents? Yes, the neighbors want to see them. 20 minutes? Perfect. Ashley's face had gone pale. Who was that? My property manager. Your what? My property manager, Rebecca Martinez from Pinnacle Property Management. She handles my rental portfolio. You don't have a rental portfolio, don't I? Gary stepped forward. Ashley, what's he talking about? He's having an episode, the stress of relocating. Ashley, I said quietly, you've told a lot of lies in the last month. To Michael, to your parents, to the neighbors, to yourself. In about 15 minutes, every one of those lies is going to be exposed. You're bluffing. Am I? My phone buzzed. Text from Rebecca. Pulling into driveway now. Actually, Ashley, I'm not bluffing. I'm just tired of being polite. A white Mercedes SUV pulled into my driveway. Professional lettering on the side. Pinnacle Property Management. Phoenix's premier real estate services. Rebecca Martinez stepped out. Tailored suit, briefcase, all business. Mr. Davis, I have the documents you requested. Ashley stared at the SUV, at Rebecca, at the briefcase full of papers. Bill, she whispered. What documents? Property deeds, tax records, portfolio summaries, insurance policies, the paperwork that proves who really owns what around here. Rebecca approached. Should I set up in the house? Right here is fine. Everyone's family. The neighbors pressed closer. Ashley's parents looked confused. Ashley looked terrified. Mr. Davis, which properties are we discussing today? Let's start with this one. 1417 East Desert Cove. Rebecca opened her briefcase, pulled out a folder thick with official documents. This property is owned by BD Holdings, LLC. Purchased 1998. Current value $2.8 million. No outstanding liens or mortgages. She handed me the deed. I held it up so everyone could see my name. BD Holdings is wholly owned by William James Davis. That's me. Ashley's mouth fell open. Bill, Gary said slowly. You own this house? I own this house. I built this house. I've paid taxes on this house for 26 years. But Ashley said, Ashley assumed. Ashley was wrong. Rebecca pulled out another folder, thicker than the first. Mr. Davis, would you like me to review the complete BD Holdings portfolio? Please do. I think everyone would find it educational. Ashley grabbed my arm. Bill, please, let's discuss this privately. Too late for private, Ashley. You made this public when you humiliated me in front of these people. Now they get to see the truth. Rebecca opened the second folder. Page after page of property listings. BD Holdings, LLC currently owns 1,247 rental properties across the Phoenix metropolitan area. Portfolio value $350 million. The silence was deafening. Annual rental income approximately $28.5 million. That's gross income before expenses and taxes. Janet Johnson sat down heavily in one of my patio chairs. Additionally, BD Holdings owns 47 commercial properties and 16 parcels of undeveloped land zoned for residential construction. Bill, Tom Peterson said quietly, you're a millionaire? Several hundred times over. Ashley was shaking. This is impossible. You drive an old truck. You wear work clothes. You live like what? Like a normal person? Like someone who doesn't have money. Ashley, I have more money than you'll see in 10 lifetimes. I just don't feel the need to prove it with expensive cars and designer clothes. Gary found his voice. But the construction company. Ashley said you went bankrupt. I sold the construction company in 2009 for $45 million. Used the proceeds to expand into real estate investment. But you act like a working man? Because I am a working man. I just happen to work with very large numbers. Rebecca continued reading. Recent transactions include the sale of a commercial property in Tempe for $12.3 million. Closed last month. $12.3 million. Last month. While Ashley was arranging for me to live in a 300 square foot apartment. The Chandler apartment complex sale netted BD Holdings $6.7 million after taxes. That also closed in September. While Ashley was telling people I needed financial assistance. Wait, Janet said. If you have all this money, why were you living here? Because this is my house. Because my son lives here. Because until 3 days ago, I thought this was my family. But Ashley said you couldn't afford. Ashley never asked what I could afford. She assumed. She saw an old man in work clothes and decided I was poor. Michael's car pulled into the driveway. He got out slowly, staring at the crowd, at Rebecca, at the folders full of documents. Dad? What's going on? Your wife kicked me out of my own house, son, so I brought the paperwork to clarify some misconceptions. Michael approached Rebecca. Who are you? Rebecca Martinez, Pinnacle Property Management. I handle your father's real estate portfolio. My dad doesn't have a real estate portfolio. Rebecca handed him a summary sheet. 1,247 properties. Current value $350 million. Michael's knees buckled. He sat down on my porch steps. Dad, is this real? It's real. You're rich? I'm wealthy, yes, but you never said anything. Why would I? Money doesn't change who you are. It just changes how people treat you. Michael looked at Ashley. You knew? I didn't know. How could I know? He lives like he's broke. I live simply because I choose to live simply. There's a difference. Gary was studying the property listings. Bill, some of these addresses, I recognize them. You should. I built most of the houses in this neighborhood. You built our house, too? I built every house on this street except the Hendersons at the end. That one was here when I started developing. So you're not just our neighbor, Janet said slowly. You're our landlord. In a sense, Ashley finally found her voice. None of this changes anything. This house is still Michael's home. No, Ashley, this house is my home. Michael has been my guest for 3 years, a welcome guest, but still a guest. I'm his wife. We're married. That gives me rights. Rights to what? You're not on any deed. You've never paid a mortgage payment. You've never paid property taxes. You have no legal claim to this property whatsoever. Rebecca pulled out another document. Actually, Mr. Davis, there's a recent development regarding this property. What development? The insurance company received a claim that you were no longer the primary resident. They requested verification of occupancy status. Who filed that claim? Rebecca checked her notes. Ashley Johnson. She told them you'd moved to assisted living and requested that she be listed as the primary contact for the property. Insurance fraud. Ashley had tried to take control of my insurance policy. When did she file this claim? October 1st. The day before she gave me 12 hours to leave. Ashley, you committed insurance fraud. I did not. I just updated the information. You told my insurance company you were the primary resident of a house you don't own. I thought you were leaving anyway. You didn't think I was leaving. You were making sure I left. You were systematically taking control of my property by claiming I was incompetent. Michael stood up. His face was white. Ashley, is that true? Michael, I was protecting our interests. What interests? It's his house. I didn't know that. So you assumed you could just take it? I assumed he had no legal standing. Why would you assume that? Ashley looked around the crowd. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Because he's old. Because he acts poor. Because he lets people walk all over him. I don't let people walk all over me, Ashley. I give them enough rope to hang themselves. What's that supposed to mean? It means I wanted to see exactly how far you'd go, how completely you'd reveal your character, how much damage you'd do to our family. And, mission accomplished. I turned to Rebecca. I need to file eviction papers. For which tenants? Ashley Johnson, Gary Johnson, Janet Johnson. They're occupying my property without permission, without lease, and without payment. Dad, Michael said quietly. What about me? I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He'd allowed this to happen. He'd chosen his wife over his father, but he was still my son. That depends, Michael. Do you support what your wife did? Michael looked at Ashley, looked at his in-laws, looked at the neighbors watching this family destruction. No, Dad, I don't support it. Then you can stay. They can't. Ashley's face twisted with rage. You can't kick us out. We live here. Watch me. Rebecca pulled out a standard eviction notice form. How much time would you like to give them, Mr. Davis? The legal minimum. In Arizona, that's 30 days for residents without a lease. 30 days it is. Bill, please. Janet Johnson was crying now. We have nowhere to go. You had somewhere to go 3 days ago, before you decided to occupy my house. We didn't know. Ignorance isn't a legal defense for trespassing. Gary stepped forward. Bill, let's be reasonable. We can pay rent. What can you pay? Whatever's fair. Fair market rent for this property is $4,500 a month. Gary's face fell. We can't afford that. Then you can't afford to live here. Ashley was pacing. This is insane. Michael, tell your father he's being unreasonable. Michael looked at his wife. Ashley, you kicked him out of his own house. I didn't know it was his house. But you knew it wasn't yours. You thought you could take whatever you wanted because you assumed he was powerless to stop you. Rebecca finished filling out the paperwork. Mr. Davis, I need signatures and addresses for service. I signed the eviction notices, 3 of them. Ashley Johnson, current address 1417 East Desert Cove Avenue. Gary Johnson, same address. Janet Johnson, same address. Bill, Ashley said desperately, what if we apologize? What if we start over? Start over? Ashley, you committed insurance fraud. You told people I was mentally incompetent. You tried to have me involuntarily committed to assisted living. I was trying to help. You were trying to steal my house. I wouldn't call it stealing. What would you call it? Ashley had no answer. Rebecca sealed the notices in official envelopes. These will be served tomorrow morning by certified process server. Wait, Gary said. Tomorrow? But we just got here. You got here by displacing the rightful owner. That was your choice. Where are we supposed to go? Figure it out. You had 8 months to figure it out before you came here. Janet was sobbing. Ashley, you said this was temporary. You said he agreed. I thought he agreed. You never asked me to agree, I said quietly. You informed me I was leaving. There's a difference. Tom Peterson cleared his throat. Bill, I owe you an apology. Ashley told us you were confused about the ownership situation. I wasn't confused, Tom. Ashley was. She made it sound like you needed help, like you couldn't manage on your own. I've been managing just fine for 67 years. Clara Peterson shook her head. Bill, I feel terrible. If we'd known the truth. You'd have done what? The truth was available to anyone who bothered to look. Property records are public information. Ashley spun around. How was I supposed to know to look? Ashley, you work in marketing. Your mother worked in real estate. You understand property ownership. You chose not to investigate because you preferred your assumptions. But you act poor. I act normal. You've confused wealth with ostentation. Michael sat down heavily. Dad, why didn't you ever tell me? Tell you what? About the money. About the business. About any of this. Because I wanted you to succeed on your own merit. I wanted you to build character before you inherited wealth. You were going to leave it to me. I was. Past tense. Michael's face went pale. Past tense? Michael, you stood by while your wife tried to steal my house. You enabled her lies about my mental competence. You chose her narrative over your own father. I didn't know. You didn't ask. There's a difference. Dad, please, I made a mistake. A $350 million mistake. The neighborhood crowd was slowly dispersing. Too much family drama for a Saturday afternoon. Rebecca packed up her documents. Mr. Davis, is there anything else you need today? Actually, yes. Can you recommend a good estate planning attorney? For updating your will? For rewriting it completely? Michael's head snapped up. Dad, don't do anything permanent, please. Let's talk about this. We are talking about it, right here, right now, in front of everyone. Privately, I mean. Too late for private, son. Your wife made this public when she humiliated me in front of these people. Now they get to see the conclusion. Ashley grabbed Michael's arm. Do something. He's going to cut you out. What do you want me to do, Ashley? He owns everything, everything. Fight him. Get a lawyer. With what money? You made me think he was broke, remember? Rebecca handed me her business card. Mr. Davis, I'll email you the contact information for that estate attorney. James Wilson has worked with us before. Perfect. Also, Rebecca, I want to review the management contracts for all Phoenix area properties. Some changes may be needed. What kind of changes? I might be more hands-on going forward. Less delegation, more personal oversight. Understood. As Rebecca drove away, Ashley turned to me one last time. Bill, what do you want? What will it take to fix this? Nothing, Ashley. This can't be fixed. Why not? Because you showed me who you really are, when you thought I was powerless. You tried to destroy me. That's not something you come back from. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Several choices. Over several weeks. You chose cruelty over kindness. You chose greed over gratitude. You chose lies over truth. People change. Do they? Let's find out. You have 30 days. The next morning, the process server arrived at 9 a.m. sharp. I watched from my hotel window as a woman in a navy suit rang my doorbell. Ashley answered in her bathrobe, hair disheveled. Through the window, I could see the papers being handed over. 3 envelopes, 3 eviction notices, 30 days. My phone rang. Michael. Dad, we need to talk. I'm listening. Ashley's falling apart. She's been crying since the papers arrived. I imagine she is. Her parents are talking about driving back to Michigan. Good choice. Nothing for them here. Dad, please. I know she screwed up, but she's my wife. That's your choice, Michael. It doesn't have to be mine. What does that mean? It means I'm done pretending we're all one big happy family. That afternoon, I drove to my accountant's office. Patricia Hayes had handled my books for 12 years. Bill, I saw the news about the property disputes. Everything okay? Depends on your definition of okay. I need to restructure some holdings. What kind of restructuring? I want BD Holdings to acquire more residential properties in the Scottsdale area. Aggressive expansion? Strategic positioning. If my family wants to treat me like a slumlord, maybe I should actually become their landlord. Patricia pulled up my portfolio on her computer. You want to buy houses in your own neighborhood? Every house that comes up for sale within a 5-mile radius of Desert Cove Avenue? That's going to cost serious money. I have serious money. What's the end game here, Bill? Control. If you own the neighborhood, you control who lives in the neighborhood. Wednesday morning, Janet Johnson called me. Bill, we need to discuss terms. What terms? For staying. Ashley told us about the eviction, but we'd like to negotiate. There's nothing to negotiate, Janet. We could pay rent. Not $4,500, but something reasonable. What's reasonable? $1,500? $2,000? Janet, your daughter-in-law tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so she could steal my house. You think I want you as tenants? That wasn't our idea. But you went along with it. You moved into my house knowing I'd been forced out. Ashley said you agreed. Did you ask me? Did anyone call me to confirm this agreement? Silence. Janet, you took Ashley's word because it benefited you. That's complicity. Thursday, Ashley showed up at my hotel. Bill, we need to make a deal. No deals. I'll admit I was wrong. I'll apologize publicly. Whatever you want. What I want is for you to understand consequences. I understand. I screwed up. But Michael loves me and he's your son. Doesn't that count for something? It counted for something before you tried to destroy me. I wasn't trying to destroy you. What were you trying to do? I was trying to improve our situation by eliminating me from it, by giving everyone space. Ashley, you told people I had dementia. You filed false insurance claims. You tried to manipulate adult protective services. That's not about space. That's about erasure. I panicked, okay? My parents needed help, and I thought, you thought you could solve their problems by creating mine. Yes, and I was wrong, but people make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a campaign, a sustained effort to remove me from my own life. Friday afternoon, Michael called with an update. Dad, Ashley's been looking at apartments. Good, but she can't afford anything decent. Her credit's not great, and without a cosigner. That's her problem to solve. She's asking if you'd consider being a reference. I laughed, actually laughed. Michael, your wife tried to steal my house. Now she wants me to vouch for her character to other landlords. She's desperate, Dad. Desperation doesn't create character. It reveals it. Saturday morning, I drove past the house. A for rent sign was already in the front yard. Ashley was hedging her bets, looking for somewhere else to live. But the sign was interesting. It listed the property as a luxury home with guest quarters. Ashley was trying to rent out my house to strangers. I called Rebecca. Rebecca, someone's trying to rent my Scottsdale property. Which property? My home. 1417 East Desert Cove. Who's trying to rent it? The people I'm evicting. They can't do that. They don't have authority to enter into leasing agreements. I know that, but they're trying anyway. Do you want me to send a cease and desist letter? Send it. And Rebecca? Add a fraud complaint to their eviction file. 23 days left. Ashley was about to learn that her problems were just beginning. October 28th. 3 days before the eviction deadline. Ashley called me at 6 in the morning. Bill, we found a place. Congratulations. It's a 2-bedroom apartment in Tempe. Month-to-month lease. Good for you. The thing is, we need a security deposit and first month's rent. And, could you loan us the money? I sat up in my hotel bed. Ashley, you want me to loan you money? Just until we get back on our feet. Let me understand this. You kicked me out of my own house. You tried to have me declared mentally incompetent. You committed insurance fraud, and now you want me to finance your apartment? I know how it sounds. It sounds insane. But we're family. No, Ashley, you made it very clear that we're not family. You're Michael's wife, that's all. What about Michael? He's still your son. Michael can call me himself. An hour later, he did. Dad, I know this is awkward. It's not awkward, son. It's illuminating. We really need help with the deposit. How much? $4,000. And what happens after I give you $4,000? What do you mean? I mean, do we pretend the last month didn't happen? Do we go back to being a happy family? Do I pretend your wife didn't try to destroy me? I'm hoping we can rebuild. Based on what foundation, Michael? Based on forgiveness. Forgiveness requires acknowledgement. Has Ashley acknowledged what she actually did? She knows she made mistakes. That's not what I asked. Michael was quiet for a long time. Dad, she's my wife. I understand that, but I'm not her father. I'm not her safety net. I'm not her solution. So that's it? You're just done with us? I'm done enabling disrespect. I'm done being taken for granted. I'm done being treated like a problem to be solved. What does that mean for our relationship? It means we start over. New terms, new boundaries, new understanding of who has what power. And Ashley? Ashley burned that bridge. You can't rebuild what was never real to begin with. October 31st, moving day. I drove by the house one last time. A U-Haul truck in the driveway. Boxes stacked on my front porch. Ashley directing the movers like a general in retreat. She saw me watching and walked over to my truck. Bill, I want you to know I'm sorry. For which part? All of it. That's not specific enough, Ashley. I'm sorry I misjudged you. I'm sorry I tried to take your house. I'm sorry I hurt your family. Better. Does that change anything? No. Why not? Because apologies don't erase consequences. They just acknowledge them. Ashley nodded slowly. What happens now? Now you learn to live with the choices you made, just like everyone else. I drove away without looking back. Michael still calls. We're working on things. Slowly, Ashley and her parents found their apartment in Tempe. They're managing. And me? I'm still Bill Davis. I still drive my old truck. I still wear my work clothes. But now everyone knows that quiet doesn't mean powerless. Sometimes the person you underestimate owns everything you think you want. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And remember, respect isn't given. It's earned. But once you lose it, you can't demand it back.